Hello, good afternoon, and welcome to Midday Prime. I'm Gautam Roy. Over the next 1 hour, we'll bring you all the stories and updates that are coming in from the country as well as the world. We'll update you about what is happening as far as the latest with Cyclone Nivar is concerned, which is now weakened, but it's still quite potent, dumping a large amount of rainfall in a large part of the southern part of the country, including in Tamil Nadu, in Puducherry, in Karnataka, as well as Andhra Pradesh. We'll also let you know about how Constitution Day is being celebrated along with Prime Minister's address at the valedictory session of the two-day the presiding officers conference that is taking place in Kevadia. But first, let's get to our big news. Terming frequent polls taking a toll on development. Prime Minister Narendra Modi calls for one nation, one election, terms nation's interest to be our guiding force. The PM lauds the role of presiding officers in protecting the Constitution while virtually addressing the working session of the 80th All India Presiding Officers Conference in Kevadia. Constitution Day is being celebrated across the country today to commemorate the adoption of the Indian Constitution. President Ramnath Kovind reads out the preamble of the Constitution virtually at the working session of the 80th All India Presiding Officers Conference. Cyclone Nivar weakens to a severe category from very severe, expected to lose steam further, but not before wreaking havoc over large parts of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry and dumping heavy rains over parts of Andhra as well as Karnataka. Home Minister Amit Shah says he is closely monitoring the situation and assures all possible help from the centre. NDRF teams are on the ground helping people. Chennai Airport restarts operations this morning. Heavy security deployment at Delhi-Haryana border in view of farmers' protest march. Jams reported on certain key highways and roads. Delhi metro services to neighbouring cities are being regulated 2 p.m. onwards. Recovery from COVID infections reaches 93.66% in the country, even as 61% of daily new cases are contributed by Kerala, Maharashtra, Delhi, West Bengal, Rajasthan and Uttar Pradesh. Lucknow and Delhi imposed Section 144 to rein in the spread of the virus. Restrictions put in place for attendance in wedding ceremonies and other events. India and the world remember the martyrs and victims of 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai on its 12th anniversary. Remembrance event held at newly built memorial at Mumbai Police Headquarters with limited attendance, keeping COVID protocols in mind. Prime Minister Modi also honours Mumbai's bravehearts. And the world mourns Argentinian legend and all-time great footballer Diego Maradona after he passes away following cardiac arrest. Argentina announces 3 days of national mourning. Prime Minister Modi expresses grief over the demise, calls the 60-year-old a maestro of football who enjoyed global popularity. All right, let's now begin with the big news. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi addressed the concluding session of the 80th All India Presiding Officers Conference via video conferencing. The two-day conference was inaugurated by President Ramnath Kovind in Kevadia on Wednesday. Prime Minister Modi said our constitution emphasizes on duties, and with rights come duties which citizens need to remember.
चाहे सामान्य नागरिक हो, कर्मचारी हो, जनप्रतिनिधि हो, न्यायिक व्यवस्था से जुड़े लोग हो, हर व्यक्ति, हर संस्थान के लिए कर्तव्यों का पालन बहुत प्राथमिकता है, बहुत जरूरी है। संविधान में तो हर नागरिक के लिए ये कर्तव्य लिखित रूप में भी है। फ्रेंड्स, आवर कॉन्स्टिट्यूशन has many special features, but one very special feature is the importance given to duties. Mahatma Gandhi himself was very keen about this. He saw a close link between rights and duties. He felt that once we perform our duties, rights will be safeguarded. साथियों, अब हमारे प्रयास ये होने चाहिए कि संविधान के प्रति सामान्य नागरिक की समझ और ज्यादा व्यापक हो.
And the PM also called for increasing the use of paperless technology.
आज देश के सभी विधायी सदनों को डेटा शेयर करने की दिशा में आगे बढ़ना जरूरी है, ताकि देश में एक सेंट्रल डेटाबेस हो. सभी सदनों के कामकाज का एक रियल टाइम ब्यौरा आम नागरिक को भी उपलब्ध हो और देश के सभी सदनों को भी ये उपलब्ध हो. इसके लिए नेशनल ई विधान एप्लीकेशन के रूप में एक आधुनिक डिजिटल प्लेटफॉर्म पहले से ही विकसित किया जा चुका है. मेरा आप सभी से आग्रह रहेगा कि इस प्रोजेक्ट को जल्द से जल्द अडॉप्ट करें. अब हमें अपनी कार्यप्रणाली में ज्यादा से ज्यादा टेक्नोलॉजी के इस्तेमाल, पेपरलेस तौर तरीकों पर बल देना चाहिए.
The PM also said that scrapping of outdated laws is also a process that has been on.
समय के साथ जो कानून अपना महत्व खो चुके हैं, उनको हटाने की प्रक्रिया भी आसान होनी चाहिए. ऐसे कानून जीवन आसान बनाने के बजाय बाधाएं ज्यादा बनाते हैं. बीते सालों में ऐसे सैकड़ों कानून हटाए जा चुके हैं. अभी कुछ कानूनों में सनसेट क्लॉज की व्यवस्था शुरू की गई है. अब एप्रोप्रिएशन एक्ट और कुछ और दूसरे कानूनों में भी इसका दायरा बढ़ाने पर विचार चल रहा है. मेरा सुझाव है कि राज्य की विधानसभाओं में भी इस प्रकार की व्यवस्था सोची जा सकती है, ताकि पुराने अनुपयोगी कानूनों को स्टैट्यूट बुक से हटाने के लिए प्रोसीजर रिक्वायरमेंट्स में बचा जा सके. इस प्रकार की व्यवस्था से कानूनी कंफ्यूजन बहुत कम होगा और सामान्य नागरिकों को भी आसानी होगी.
So ease of living is another aspect that has been brought in over here. Now, also speaking at the event, Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla highlighted the importance of Constitution in strengthening democracy.
लोकतंत्र के तीनों स्तंभों को अपनी अपनी सीमाओं के अंदर सहयोग, सामंजस्य और समन्वय की भावना से कार्य करना चाहिए. लोकतंत्र को सशक्त तभी बनाया जा सकता है जब सभी संस्थाएं मजबूत होने के साथ साथ जनता के प्रति उत्तरदायी और पारदर्शी हो. हमने कई फैसले और निर्णय किए जिनके आधार पर हम लोकतंत्र को सशक्त और मजबूत बनाएंगे. आज हमारा भी यही कर्तव्य है कि हम राजनीतिक मतभेदों से ऊपर उठकर राष्ट्र हित में कार्य करें. हम भले ही अलग अलग दलों से चुनकर आते हैं, परंतु हमारा उद्देश्य देश हित और जनहित ही होता है.
Well, Constitution Day or Samvidhan Divas is also being celebrated across the country today. The day commemorates the adoption of the Constitution of India. President Ramnath Kovind led the nation in this celebration by reading the preamble of the Constitution at Rashtrapati Bhavan.
समाजवादी पंथ निरपेक्ष लोकतंत्रात्मक गणराज्य बनाने के लिए तथा उसके समस्त नागरिकों को सामाजिक, आर्थिक और राजनैतिक न्याय, विचार, अभिव्यक्ति, विश्वास
And Union Information and Broadcasting Minister Prakash Javadekar joined the nation as well in reading the preamble of the Constitution. And highlighting the importance of the Constitution, Prakash Javadekar said that the Indian Constitution provides voting rights to women from the very first day it came into force, unlike even countries like America, which waited years to grant similar rights.
कि संविधान ने अमेरिका से बाकी बहुत देशों में महिलाओं को मताधिकार मिलने को बहुत समय लड़ना पड़ा। हमारे यहाँ संविधान के पहले दिन से ही महिला पुरुष कोई भी वर्ग का आदमी हो, सब नागरिक एक समान, ये वास्तव में आ गया। तो ये अपनी संविधान की बहुत बड़ी विशेषता है कि जैसे संविधान ने हमें मौलिक अधिकार दिए हैं, वैसे मौलिक कर्तव्यों की भी याद दिलाई।
And INB Secretary Amit Khare, along with other officials, also read out the preamble of the 71st Constitution Day today.
भारत के लोग भारत को एक संपूर्ण प्रभुत्व संपन्न समाजवादी पंथ निरपेक्ष लोकतंत्रात्मक गणराज्य बनाने के लिए तथा उसके समस्त नागरिकों को सामाजिक, आर्थिक और राजनैतिक न्याय विचार, अभिव्यक्ति, विश्वास, धर्म और उपासना की स्वतंत्रता, प्रतिष्ठा और अवसर की समता प्राप्त कराने के लिए तथा उन सब में व्यक्ति की गरिमा और राष्ट्र की एकता और अखंडता सुनिश्चित करने वाली बंधुता बढ़ाने के लिए दृढ़ संकल्प होकर अपनी इस संविधान सभा में आज तारीख 26 नवंबर 1949 ईस्वी को एतद द्वारा इस संविधान को अंगीकृत, अधिनियमित और आत्मार्पित करते हैं।
And the day also saw Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla paying floral tributes at the Statue of Unity at Kevadia in Gujarat. Union Minister for Parliamentary Affairs Prahlad Joshi and Minister of State for Parliamentary Affairs Arjun Ram Meghwal also paid floral tributes at the Statue of Unity in Kevadia. On the 26th of November in 1949, the Constituent Assembly of the country formally adopted the Constitution of India, which came into force on the 26th of January 1950. The Ministry of Social Justice and Empowerment in the year 2015 notified the decision of the government to celebrate the 26th of November as Constitution Day. The day is celebrated to promote values of the Constitution among citizens. The day is also celebrated as a mark of tribute to India's first Law Minister Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, who played a pivotal role in drafting the Indian Constitution. Films Division of the Ministry of Information and Broadcasting will be streaming 4 films on its website and YouTube channel on the occasion of the 71st Constitution Day today. The films will be ranging from topics which include adoption of the Indian Constitution, its salient features and life of Dr. B.R. Ambedkar. The films being streamed are Our Constitution, which depicts the various clauses of India's Constitution, We the People of India, that traces the framing of the Constitution, the preamble and animation of the preamble to the Constitution of India, and Baba Saheb Ambedkar, a biographical film on Dr. B.R. Ambedkar, the chief architect of the Constitution of India. And let me now take you across directly to Kevadia, where my colleague Shishir Shelar is joining us just to find out, what in the first place, Shishir, was the central message of the Prime Minister's valedictory address at the presiding officer's conference, the 80th conference, because he touched upon a wide range of issues.
Well, absolutely, Gautam. Today is the last day, the conclusion day of the two-day conference here, and Prime Minister Narendra Modi have actually addressed the valedictory session here. Various points actually he talked about. First of all, we talk about that what is the importance of constitutions here. At the same time, he said that at this point in time, the most important thing is country. Rising ahead from the personal politics and the party politics, the people representatives here, the member of parliaments also, and the legislative members also should do better things for the country, because ultimately this will help for the people here. At the same time, he said that the speakers basically from all the Constituent Assembly, they have the major role here to play here, because he rightly said that the Constituent Assembly, and especially when we were making the Assembly, there was actually room given that going forward we can adopt new changes in it, and that's what the Speaker has a big role to play. They can adopt the new changes and make it a more robust democratic that we have seen here. At the same time, he also touched upon the fact that digitalization is also one of the important aspect here. When we talk about the parliament proceedings also, Vidhan Sabha proceedings also, these all should get archived here, and anyone should get access. Common people should also get access of it. So that's what this point also the Prime Minister touched upon here. The second important things that we mentioned in his speech, Gautam, is that the one nation, one election. And
yes,
we all know that there's a lot of deliberations going on about this topic here, that how could one nation and one election can be executed in the country here. But Prime Minister today said that the deliberation should go on with this, as all the three important pillars of democracy are present here. They should discuss, and they should discuss the time frame that by when we can execute this one nation, one election is concerned. It will actually save energy, it will save money also, it will save time also, and that's the reason it will benefit to the people also. That's what he also said. So these are different range of issues that Prime Minister touched upon, and have also urged the people representatives here, the assembly members here, the speakers here, that obviously there plays an important role here, and the responsibility is quite bigger when it's come to accountability is concerned. We are more accountable to the people, and going forward we should be more committed, because ultimately this will pave the way for the better democratic systems in the country, and it will also benefit people at large.
Yes, certainly, and the focus is also on the Indian Constitution, because today is the Constitution Day, and the Prime Minister also linked very extensively the kind of role that is expected of even presiding officers themselves, apart from every citizen in general, in upholding the Constitution.
Well, absolutely. Today, being the Constitution Day, Prime Minister said that Constitution at this point in time is a quite important thing for the country, because all these three pillars that we're talking about, how should they work, the responsibility is everything is mentioned in the Constitution, and if you avoid if you follow the Constitution, probably we can work ahead in a better way. That's what the Prime Minister even today said here. But in spite of even reiterating this fact here, he said that the Constitution is for the people of this country, and that's the reason we should take it to the people. We should make people aware about that, what exactly this Constitution is all about, and what is the constitutional duty and rights here. And that's the reason the more responsibility lies in the public representatives also, because whenever they go to their own areas, when they go to their own region, they should also make people aware about the rights that they have received, and the responsibility they've got from the Constitution. And that's when all these three pillars of democracy, along with the people of this country, can come together And that's, in a full meaning, we can say that the constitution that we have adopted actually will benefit to the people.
Certainly. Thanks a lot for joining us with, giving perspective to what is going on as far as Kevadia is concerned, Shishir Selar. Okay, now let's move on to our developing story of the day. Well, the very severe cyclonic storm Nivar has crossed the coast near Puducherry and weakened into a severe cyclonic storm. According to the Indian Met Department, the center of the cyclone passed through Puducherry around midnight with wind speed of 120 to 130 km per hour, gusting up to 145 km per hour around 2:30 in the morning. However, Cyclone Nivar has weakened into a severe cyclone, but the danger is not over yet, as some part of the cyclone is still over the sea, though the center is over the land, which is the eye. The winds are higher in northeast sector, therefore, the northeast sector from Puducherry has still higher wind speeds of 110 till 110 km per hour. Now, this will gradually decrease to 65 to 75 km per hour during the next few hours, with further northwestward movement of the system over land. The weathermen say the effects of the storm with the heavy rains and high winds will be felt till at least this afternoon. Spells of rain will continue till Friday. And our Home Minister Amit Shah has also spoken to Chief Ministers of Tamil Nadu and Puducherry and assured them of all possible help from the centre. In a tweet, the Home Minister said, and I quote, "We are closely monitoring the situation in Tamil Nadu and Puducherry in the wake of Cyclone Nivar. Have spoken to CM Shri Edappadi Palaniswamy and CM Shri V. Narayanasamy and assured all possible help from the centre. NDRF teams already on ground to help people in need." Now, the waxing and waning of the cyclone can also be gauged from this particular fact. Chennai Airport, which was completely closed for 12 hours from 7 p.m. last evening to 7 a.m. today due to the impact of Cyclone Nivar, resumed operations this morning. However, 41 flights scheduled to depart from Chennai Domestic Airport today, including to Bengaluru, Delhi, Mumbai, Hyderabad, Kochi, Thiruvananthapuram and Madurai, have been cancelled. Similarly, 38 domestic flights to Chennai have also been cancelled. Airline officials said that passengers should contact their respective airlines to confirm departure and arrival times for these flights. Also, the IMD has said that the very intense convection of Cyclone Nivar over Puducherry is weakening gradually. While rainfall will continue, the intensity of the rainfall will be decreasing. In the meantime, the IMD and the Karnataka State Natural Disaster Monitoring Centre has forecast moderate intermittent rainfall in and around Bengaluru, urban as well as rural districts. A yellow watch is sounded in Bengaluru till Thursday evening. Nivar cyclone impact is being experienced in Bengaluru as rains have lashed the city after landfall at Puducherry. Now, along with Bengaluru, other districts like Chamarajnagar, Chikkabalur, Hassan, Kolar, Mandya, Mysuru, Ramanagara and Tumkur are also under the yellow alert till Thursday evening. The primary reason for the alert is the possibility of heavy rainfall in the range of 60 to 120 millimeters after Cyclone Nivar weakened. There is widespread rainfall across Bengaluru and wet weather has kept citizens indoors. Post-monsoon season has been usually rainy for Bengaluru this year, with multiple spells of heavy rainfall in both October and November. The city has recorded nearly 20% excess rainfall since the 1st of October, according to the IMD. The control room of the BBMP is also on alert. Let's get you an update. My colleague Aisha Khanam is joining us from Bengaluru. Aisha, what can you tell us about the latest situation in terms of how much rainfall has already happened in Bengaluru and what more can we expect, through the day?
Well, Gautam, since morning it has been raining and a very moderate rainfall, but consistent. And behind me, if you can see the skyline of Bangalore, you can see the weather is very cloudy, very windy today. And the IMD and Karnataka State Natural Disaster Monitoring Center has forecasted that by evening there could be heavy showers. So whenever there is cyclone, there is depression in the neighboring state in Tamil Nadu or in Andhra, Bangalore definitely experiences the after effects of the cyclone. So very heavy rainfall is expected post noon around 3:30 to 4 p.m. That is what the IMD said. And the other neighboring districts across Bangalore district are also experiencing rainfall since morning. Now there is a little relief since morning. The rain has stopped, but still it is drizzling. And also the fact that the Chief Minister was in Chamarajanagar district, which is also experiencing rainfall after Niwar cyclone. His helicopter could not take off, and he is taking the route by road back to Bangalore. So the impact of Niwar cyclone can be seen in Bangalore, and the Bangaloreans, especially people in the city, are now well prepared because there have been enough warnings and they have got enough information with regard to the cyclone. So people are now careful. People living in the low-lying areas where the houses were flooded last time due to monsoon rains, now they are taking all precautions. The vehicles are being parked outside the homes, on roads. So people are now careful. Besides the fact that the government has activated the state machinery to step in case there is heavy flooding due to rainfall post noon. So at the moment it is very cloudy, and though it is a midday, it almost looks like evening in Bangalore. So Bangaloreans are geared up to prepare, and they have prepared themselves to face if any heavy downpour happens in Bangalore. But right now all precautions have been taken, and mostly since it's a very wet day, people are indoors today in Bangalore.
Okay, let's hope the preparedness proves adequate and people remain safe through this time as well, although things are not going to be as bad in Bangalore or surrounding areas as they were, you know, where the cyclone made landfall and the areas around that particular region. But it's best to be cautious. Thanks a lot for joining us for the moment, Aisha Khanum. All right, now let's also get you the latest updates from the ground as far as Vijayawada in Andhra Pradesh is concerned, because some part of the impact of the cyclone is also being felt in Andhra Pradesh. It was forecast to be felt in Andhra Pradesh today. Let's go across to M.N. Srinivas in Visakhapatnam. Srinivas, what can you tell us about the current situation there and what can we expect in the next few hours?
Yeah, Chittoor, Nellore are facing heavy impact of Niwar cyclone. Tirupati is majorly affected by this rain. Since morning, heavy rains are happening. On Ghat Road, there is a landslide has been reported. Also, trees have all fallen in various places in Tirupati. Water logs have reported in Templetown, and water also entered into Madavidulu, which are like a very top place in Tirupati. And our reservoirs are filled in a maximum capacity. Water has reached to Madavidulu in Tirupati. There is an incident happened in Malle Madugu reservoir where 3 farmers went to field to get their motors, but they've been trapped in a flood. So NDRF teams have come, have rescued 2 people. One is still missing there. Coming to Nellore, Kadapa district is also come under the impact of Niwar cyclone. Trees have been uprooted in various places. Officials have swung into action to clear all its debris and fallen trees. Also, in the state government also has instructed all district administrations to provide relief and rescue operations immediately. Food and water packets must be provided to the people in the affected areas immediately. Coming to Nellore, this is also another heavily affected district in Andhra Pradesh due to Niwar cyclone. Collector has spoke to DD News exclusively, so he has said that 5,000 people have been deployed to provide relief and rescue operations. Around 12.2 average centimeters rainfall has been reported in Nellore. Around 800 electric poles were fallen, and immediately these were restored, and the power supply is restored back in Nellore. Sanitation drive is been taken up, and the officials are working every hour there, and they're also following the COVID norms in Nellore. These are the updates from Vijayawada. Over to studio.
Right, Srinivas. Thanks for that update. as far as the impact of Cyclone Nivar and the measures being taken to deal with that impact are concerned. Thank you for joining us. Now, even as Cyclone Nivar remains active, IMD has informed that a new depression has emerged in the Bay of Bengal named Burevi and is expected to turn into a cyclone. It's expected that the new system will gain prominence in the first couple of days in December. IMD scientist R.K. Janamani spoke exclusively to Doordarshan News. Let's take a look.
R.K. Janamani, senior scientist of IMD, to talk about the latest situation of the cyclone.
It is now located 50 km west-northwest of Pondicherry. So it is inside the land, enter into the coast yesterday night and today early morning.
Right.
And it is moving northwesterly mostly. We expect, the bad weather to continue all these coastal districts, right from Nagapattinam to Chennai. So if you see the weather condition, rain, extremely heavy rainfall occurred actually, particularly the Pondicherry. It is 34 centimeter has been reported.
What about Chennai, sir? What is the rainfall activity in Chennai?
Chennai has 10 centimeter, 10 to 12 centimeter. Will increase today. Chennai will increase today. And then Prakasam and then Chittoor, all these districts, further from the adjoining Rayalaseema and Telangana, there will be extremely heavy rainfall. And system will continue as a severe cyclonic storm. So by 11:30, the system will be another 6 to 9 hours, it will be a depression, deep depression. During next 9 hours, it will weaken into a deep depression or depression inside further north interior Tamil Nadu. By today afternoon, it will move today afternoon night towards Rayalaseema and adjoining Telangana as a depression or well-marked low pressure. So that rainfall alert still remain. Wind now is 80-90, westing to 100 km along the coast around Pondicherry, north of Pondicherry, south of Chennai.
That was R.K. Janamani telling us that in the next 9 hours, this cyclone storm will turn into a depression, but the rainfall activity will continue. With cameraman Rajesh, this is Apush Bhattacharya, DD India, Delhi.
Okay, so more bad weather in store for the region, which is now feeling the impact of Cyclone Nivar because another system seems to be developing there. We'll keep you posted on that one, but let's now move on to National Prime. Well, first in National Prime, let's get you a look at the update on the COVID-19 situation across the country. Well, 36,367 recoveries have been recorded yesterday, taking the cumulative total of recovered patients to 86,79,138. With this, the recovery rate currently stands at 93.66%. India's three-pronged strategy of test, trace and treat is proving to be a success. Fatality rate has dropped to 1.46% with 1,35,223 deaths recorded so far. The number of active COVID-19 cases in India stands at 4,52,344, which is 4.88% of the total cases reported so far. Now, the Ministry of Home Affairs issued an order with guidelines for surveillance, containment and caution, which will be effective from the 1st of December 2020 and will remain in force up to the 31st of December 2020. The main focus of the guidelines is to consolidate the substantial gains that have been achieved against the spread of COVID-19, which is visible in the steady decline in the number of active cases in the country. The order further says, keeping in view recent spike in new cases in few states and union territories, ongoing festival season and onset of winter, it's emphasized that to fully overcome the pandemic, there's need to maintain caution and to strictly follow the prescribed containment strategy, focused on surveillance, containment and strict observance of the guidelines and SOPs issued by the MHA and the Ministry of Health. COVID-19 guidelines for surveillance, containment and caution as well have been issued. And the Union Health Ministry on Wednesday directed the states and union territories to initiate necessary steps for reopening of medical colleges on or before the 1st of December with adherence to all COVID-19 guidelines. The Health Ministry has also obtained concurrence from the Ministry of Home Affairs for the reopening of medical colleges in states and union territories. An NMC recommendation letter released earlier stated that medical colleges across the country must reopen on or before the 1st of December 2020 for MBBS students already pursuing their courses. Now, farmers from Punjab who are opposed to the central agricultural laws plan to reach Delhi today to protest, and they've been making those efforts as well. As a precaution, Haryana sealed its borders off, and Uttar Pradesh has also imposed strict limits on its borders. Farmers have announced a protest on the 26th and 27th of November, which is today and tomorrow, against agricultural laws in Delhi. The security arrangements have been tightened in the metro, also especially in the border areas of Haryana and Uttar Pradesh, after the pronouncement of the protest. Police forces have been deployed inside and outside metro stations as well. The central government has already cleared and clarified that these new agricultural laws will not cause any harm to farmers, and both small and big farmers will be benefited. But due to the farmers' rally in Delhi today on the request of the Delhi police and to avoid overcrowding in view of ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, the Delhi metro services will be regulated and are being regulated starting 2 p.m. this afternoon. Now, what's happened is no service will be available between Dilshad Garden to Rajendra Nagar section from 2 p.m. That's line 1. Furthermore, if you look at what sort of changes have been made, regular services from Samaypur Badli to Sultanpur and Guru Dronacharya to Huda city centre will be run from 2 p.m. Now, this will also have no services being available between Sultanpur to Guru Dronacharya from 2 p.m. Regular services from Dwarka sector 21 to Anand Vihar, that will be run from 2 p.m. Regular services from New Ashok Nagar and Noida city centre to Noida Electronic City from 2 p.m. as well. That's the DMRC advisory. No services available from Anand Vihar to Vaishali, New Ashok Nagar to Noida city centre as well. This is all at 2 p.m. Regular services from Kirti Nagar in the Lok to Tikri Kala, again from 2 p.m. No services will be available from Tikri Kala to Brigadier Hoshiar Singh. That's also something that has been put in place. Regular services from Kashmiri Gate to Badarpur border, Mewala Maharajpur, Raja Nahar Singh. This is again at 2 p.m. No services from Badarpur border to Mewala Maharajpur. This is again 2 p.m. Regular services available in line 7, line 9, airport and rapid metro lines. Also, what will be running is there on the screen for you. Regular services will be there for Uthara to Dilshad Garden and Rajendra Nagar to Shaheed Sthal. Now, moving on, the 12th anniversary of the 26/11 Mumbai terror attacks is being observed today. The Mumbai police held an event to pay homage to the martyred security personnel, which was attended by only a limited number of people in view of the pandemic. The ceremony was held at the newly built memorial at the police headquarters in South Mumbai. Maharashtra Governor Bhagat Singh Koshyari, Chief Minister Uddhav Thackeray and State Home Minister Anil Deshmukh paid tributes to the martyrs who laid down their lives in the terror attacks. The 26/11 attacks transformed India's outlook towards national security and led to strengthening of its maritime surveillance and inter-agency coordination and dissemination of information. And Prime Minister Modi also paid tributes to all those who lost their lives during the 26/11 terror attacks in Mumbai. The PM reiterated the government's resolve to fight terror.
आज की तारीख देश पर सबसे बड़े आतंकी हमले के साथ भी जुड़ी हुई है। 2008 में पाकिस्तान से आए, पाकिस्तान से भेजे गए आतंकियों ने मुंबई पर धावा बोल दिया था। इस हमले में अनेक लोगों की मृत्यु हुई थी, अनेक देशों के लोग मारे गए थे। मैं मुंबई हमले में मारे गए सभी लोगों को अपनी श्रद्धांजलि अर्पित करता हूं। इस हमले में हमारे पुलिस बल के कई जाबाज शहीद हुए थे, मैं उन्हें भी नमन करता हूं। मुंबई हमले के जख्म भारत भूल नहीं सकता। अब आज का भारत नई नीति, नई रीति के साथ आतंकवाद का मुकाबला कर रहा है। मुंबई हमले जैसी साजिशों को नाकाम कर रहे आतंक को मुंह तोड़ जवाब देने वाले, भारत की रक्षा में प्रतिपल जुटे हमारे सुरक्षा बलों का भी आज मैं वंदन करता हूं।
And now it's midday. In Midday Prime, it's time to get you all the business and economy updates. And for all the business and economy updates, let's go across to Arun.
Thanks, Gautam. And let's begin this Business Prime with the energy sector. Now, Prime Minister Narendra Modi will today inaugurate the virtual third Global Renewable Energy Investment Meeting and Expo, that is Reinvest 2020. The summit is organized by Ministry of New and Renewable Energy and will be held till 28th. The theme for Reinvest 2020 is Innovations for Sustainable Energy Transition. It will feature a 3-day conference on renewables and future energy choices. It is expected to be attended by over 75 international ministerial delegations, over 1,000 global industry leaders, and 50,000 delegates. It aims to accelerate the worldwide effort to scale up development and deployment of renewable energy and connect the global investment community with Indian energy stakeholders. And Reserve Bank of India Governor Shaktikant Das has said that Indian economy has shown stronger than expected pickup in recovery. He added that there is a need to be watchful of demand sustainability after the end of festivities. Speaking at the annual day event of Foreign Exchange Dealers Association of India primarily, the Reserve Bank of India Governor said that there are downside risks as well to growth across the world and also in India.
After witnessing a sharp contraction in GDP by 23.9% in the first quarter of the current financial year and a multi-speed normalization of activity in the second quarter, the Indian economy has exhibited stronger than expected pickup in momentum of recovery. The global economy has also witnessed a stronger than expected rebound in activity in the third quarter. IMF has accordingly revised its assessment for global growth in 2020 to a less severe contraction than what was originally assessed in June 2020. Even as growth outlook has improved, downside risks to growth continue due to the recent surge in infections in parts of Europe, other advanced economies, and also in parts of India.
And Union Road and Transport Minister Nitin Gadkari will today inaugurate and lay the foundation stone of 16 highway projects in Uttar Pradesh. These projects for inauguration and foundation laying carry a road length of 505 kilometers, involving construction value of nearly 7,500 crore rupees. Paving the way for development of Uttar Pradesh, these roads will enhance better connectivity, convenience and economic growth in the state. Well, let's also take a look at the stock markets now. We're talking about both Sensex and Nifty. They both are trading in green. Well, today is the last trading session of the November series, and we are witnessing that Sensex is trading at around 44,000 level, up by 235 points, and Nifty is also reflecting the same mood and is trading at around 12,930 levels, up by close to 70 points. Well, so that's it in this world of business and finance. For the news, back to you, Gautam.
Okay, thanks a lot, Arun, for getting us those updates. Now, let's get you all that we're getting from across the world as well. But first, let's get you an update on what's happening as far as the COVID-19 situation is concerned across the world. As of now, more than 6 crore 7 lakh coronavirus cases have been reported worldwide, with over 14 lakh 26,000 deaths. Over 4 crore 20 lakh people have recovered from the virus as well. The US continues to top the list among the worst hit countries by the pandemic so far, with the highest number of infections. The US has recorded over 1 crore 31 lakh cases of the virus, with a death toll surging past 2 lakh 68,000 mark. In Spain, while new infections have slowed in the past month, The death toll has risen by 537 to 43,668, marking the highest daily increase in the second wave, according to the Spanish Health Ministry's data. Spain added 12,228 coronavirus cases to its tally that now stands at nearly 1.6 million, Western Europe's second highest after France. The cumulative incidence continues to fall, with 143.24 cases per 1 lakh inhabitants in the last 7 days on average in Spain. Madrid has been the worst hit city in Spain by the pandemic, and regional authorities are set to open a new hospital specialized in pandemic, which has triggered controversy among health workers' unions and the city's residents alike. Standing 6th in the global COVID-19 tally, Spain has a total of more than 16,22,000 confirmed cases of coronavirus, and the death toll is over 44,000. And US President-elect Joe Biden addressed the country on Wednesday and called on Americans to celebrate Thanksgiving with just a few family members and to remain optimistic despite the tragedy, pain and anxiety that has marked the past 9 months. Considering the surge in cases of coronavirus in the US, Biden said that this Thanksgiving, people must remember and honor the ones lost due to the pandemic and forego family gatherings. In spite of the suffering caused by the pandemic, Biden emphasized that there are reasons for hope. He also expressed gratitude towards healthcare workers. With the festive season round the corner, the US remains the worst hit country by the pandemic since weeks. The country has over 1,31 lakh cases of coronavirus and deaths over 2,68,000. Now, pre-filled syringe maker Apiject Systems Corporation was approved by the US government for a $590 million loan to make single-dose injectors that are capable of delivering nearly all leading COVID-19 vaccine candidates. The loan is part of the Trump administration's initiative to bolster the country's ability to produce drugs and pharmaceutical raw materials. The company said it would build a facility of producing up to 3 billion single-dose pre-filled injectors annually. The loan from the U.S. International Development Finance Corporation will finance 75% of the project's capital costs, with the remaining coming from a capital raise led by U.S. investment bank Jefferies Financial Group. Workers of Amazon sorted and moved packages ahead of U.S. Thanksgiving holiday, Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which mark a traditional start to U.S. holiday shopping season. It's the biggest sales event for U.S. retailers that lasts a few weeks and brings in a majority of their sales. It also makes up for lukewarm periods throughout the year in an economy that relies on retail. More customers than ever are shopping online this year, and typically Black Friday and Cyber Monday are one of the busiest times. Adobe e-commerce software unit Magento expects Americans to shift gifts to 18% more recipients than a year ago as travel gets curbed. At the end of October, Amazon forecasts a jump in holiday sales and costs related to COVID-19 as consumers continue to shop more online during the pandemic. German Chancellor Angela Merkel agreed with leaders of Germany's 16 federal states to extend and tighten measures against the coronavirus until at least December 20, as they are likely to extend them into January. However, rules will be eased over the Christmas holidays. Germany imposed a month-long lockdown on the 2nd of November to rein in a second wave that is sweeping much of Europe, where schools and shops remain open. From the 1st of December, private gatherings will be limited to 5 people. The number will rise to 10 over Christmas, not counting children, though previous decisions included an appeal to avoid such social contact for a week ahead of family visits. The total number of cases in Europe stands at 9,83,731, with 15,381 deaths till now. Let's now get you all the updates from the world of sports. And for all the updates from different sporting arenas, it's over to Narayan.
Thanks, Gautam. The shocking news is coming from the footballing world. Football legend Diego Maradona passed away on Wednesday due to a heart attack. Maradona, regarded as one of the greatest footballers of all time, helped Argentina to win the World Cup in 1986, the pinnacle of an illustrious career. He played football for Boca Juniors, Napoli, Barcelona, among others, and was adored by millions for his brilliant skills. Maradona was responsible for the infamous hand of God that eliminated England from the 1986 World Cup tournament.
Legendary football player Diego Maradona was football's genius, a world-beating player whose life and career scaled the most dazzling heights. Maradona died of a heart attack on Wednesday at the age of 60. Maradona became a global icon after leading Argentina to the 1986 World Cup. Diego Armando Maradona was born on October 30, 1960 in Llanos, just outside Buenos Aires, and grew up in one of the poorest areas of the Argentine capital. He made his debut for the Argentinos Juniors just before his 16th birthday and his debut for Argentina at the age of 16 in February of 1977. His career is defined by the World Cup. Maradona was powerful and quick. He was also a ferocious and astute competitor who refused to be intimidated even though many opponents tried. Above all, he was sublimely, imaginatively skillful. Diego Armando Maradona was born on October 30, 1960, 3 days after Muhammad Ali won his first professional boxing fight. He represented his country, Argentina, 91 times. During that time, he scored 34 goals for Argentina. He represented Argentina in 4 World Cups of 82, 86, 90 and 94. Maradona was a skipper for Argentina 16 times. This is the world record for the most appearances as a skipper for a country in the tournaments. Maradona was only 15 when he started his professional career, making his debut for the Argentinos Juniors. At 16, he made his international debut. This was at the Bombonera Stadium in Buenos Aires, the capital of Argentina. The match was against Hungary. The year 1986 was a good year for Maradona as he captained his country to the World Cup victory against West Germany, beating them in finals with 3-2. Maradona's most iconic moment was arguably his infamous Hand of God moment during Argentina vs England match in the 1986 FIFA World Cup at the Azteca Stadium in Mexico City. The glory of this Blair can be gauged from the fact that his statue in Buenos Aires, Argentina is 9 feet high. Sports Desk, DD India.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi has expressed grief over the demise of Diego Maradona. In a tweet, the Prime Minister said Diego Maradona was a maestro of football who enjoyed global popularity. Throughout his career, he gave some of the best sporting moments on the football field. His untimely demise was saddened us all. May his soul rest in peace. Now shifting focus to cricket, India kick off their tour down under with a 3-match ODI series, the first of which takes place on Friday in Sydney. Both the teams are almost full strength, with Rohit Sharma being the only big name player not to feature. Australia last featured in an international match in the limited over series against England in September ahead of the start of the IPL. India meanwhile was last seen in action in the tour of New Zealand earlier this year. The last time both the sides met was in a 3-match ODI series in January in India, which Men in Blue clinched 2-1. With one of the biggest rivalries in the world cricket set to take place, it will be an exciting for all cricketing fans. Right now, the Lok Sabha Speaker Om Birla addressing the